Hello, how is everybody? Welcome to this platform again, and we are going to continue with our lesson. The topic remains the people of Africa. Yesterday we had just an introduction part of it, and we looked at, we defined what an ethnic group is, and I told you about the ethnic group, but you can call it a tribal group. We gave different. You can have as an ethnic group. You can call it a tribal group. You can call it a language group. So we say tribal because it is made up. So tribal because it is made out of many tribes. So when you talk of an ethnic group, there are tribes that make up that ethnic group. Then we also say language, and we say that you can group tribes using their languages. For instance, we say the Bantu have a root word which is in two. So when you look at all the languages, the Bantu languages, all of them have that root word which is in two. So we gave examples of these ethnic groups. We talked of the Bantu, that the Bantu occupy the biggest part of Africa. We talked of the Nilotes, and we said the Nilotes are subdivided again into three. So you talk of the riverlet Nilotes, you can talk of the plain Nilotes, you talk of the highland Nilotes. We also talked of another ethnic group. We talked of the Kushites. Now these Kushites are the same as the Hamites. We talked of the Berbers. We say these are the original people who lived in the northern part of Africa before the coming of the Arabs, who today occupy the biggest part of it. Then we talked of the Khoisans. We say these are the original people who lived in the southern part of Africa. We talk of countries like Botswana, Namibia, South Africa. And then we talked of the Semites, whom we say came as a result of the intermarriage of the Arabs, the Jews, and the Africans. So this one you will get the blood. They have the blood of Africans, Asians, especially the Arabs. So you can basically talk of the Arabs, and then you can talk of the Jews. Now in East Africa they are called the Nubians. An example of a tribe are the Nubians. We talked of this in P6. Now, having listed a ethnic group, today we are going to concentrate on the Bantu. So that's why we have here Bantu. So our topic today is going to major on Bantu as an ethnic group. Now, we said the Bantu, this is a tribe, or I mean it's an ethnic group that is believed to have originated from the Cameroon Highlands. So that is the cradle land of the Bantu. It is believed to have been around the Cameroon Highlands. We have Mountain Cameroon. By the way, Mountain Cameroon is an active volcano in Africa. When they ask you to give examples of active volcanoes, Mountain Cameroon is one of them, found in Central Africa. So that's where they are believed to have come from. Now, reasons for their migrations are more or less the same. They are more or less the same. The other one we are both seeing that the Bantu occupy the largest part of Africa. The Bantu occupy the largest part of Africa. So they are the largest. That's why we are starting with their what? We are starting with them. Now let's look at, for instance, the tribes. We are going to focus on the tribes, especially outside East Africa. For the case of Uganda, they are the same examples we know. So let's look at tribes under Bantu. So we shall begin with East Africa. So let's have East Africa. So in East Africa, you look at Uganda, you talk of the Baganda. So let's give at least one example in each country. So when you cross to Kenya, we have the Kikuyu. So the Kikuyu are also believed to be the biggest tribe, Bantu tribe in Kenya is the Kikuyu, while in Uganda we have the Baganda. When you go to Tanzania, we have the Chaga. The Chaga live on the slopes of mountain Kilimanjaro. You can also talk of the Nyamwezi. We said Nyamwezi is a Kiswahili word which means people from the moon. That was the name that was given by the Arabs. So we talk of the Nyamwezi. Now that is for the case of East Africa. I'm just trying to cite examples. Now we are also going to look at the Bantu in Central Africa. So Central Africa, we are looking at countries like DRC. So in Central Africa, you have countries like, you have tribes like the Bagunda. Bagunda is a tribe that is found in DRC. You have got the Baluba. This is a Bantu tribe found in DRC. Then, when you talk of the Yawo, remember we have the Bantu tribe called the Yawo in Tanzania, but also in Malawi, we have the Yawo tribe. We have the Makwa. These are tribes that are found in Malawi. We have the Nyanja. Nyanja is also another Bantu tribe which is found in Malawi. So you can see, specifically we are looking at the Bantu. So we shall also cross, for instance, to Southern Africa. So we are looking at countries like South Africa, countries like Botswana. So in Southern Africa, Bantu tribes, Southern Africa. So let's look at Southern Africa. So in Southern Africa, you will look at the countries like the Swana. These ones are found in Botswana. Then you talk of the countries like the Swazi. The Swazi is also a Bantu tribe in Southern Africa. We have the Hosa. You can talk of the Zulu, talk of the Ngoni. Now briefly talking about the history of the Ngoni. The Ngoni, we say, migrated from South Africa and settled in Tanzania in case of East Africa. Why they migrated from South Africa? It was due to the expansion policy of the Zulu king who was called Shaka. We talked of this in pieces that we said the Zulu had their king who was called Shaka, who was trying to expand his kingdom. Now the Ngoni were the neighbors. So what happened? Some of the Ngoni decided to migrate northwards, and many of them settled in Tanzania. And it is believed that they were the last Bantu tribe, Bantu group to settle into East Africa. So the Ngoni. But does not mean that all of them migrated. So we have those who remain, and that means we have got the Ngoni also in South Africa. So we have the Shona. Now the Shona are mainly found in Zimbabwe. So we have the Shona also. Then we have got the Bemba, who are found in Malawi. Then we have the Luzi. So you can see, we are also going to look at those in West Africa. So in West Africa, now in West Africa, these Bantu are divided into groups, two groups mainly. So we have the Kwa as the Bantu group, and then we have the Mande. Just in East Africa, as we can say, the Southern Bantu, the Highland Bantu, the Eastern Bantu. Now, in West Africa, for them, they are divided into two major groups. These are Bantu groups in West Africa. The Kwa and the Mande. They are found in West Africa. So, under each group, we have got, for instance, the Kwa we have got this group called the Igbo. Igbos is a tribe in Nigeria. Those of you who like watching these Nigerian movies, you find that some of these people are Igbos. We have the Yoruba. The Yoruba, that is also a Bantu tribe, which is mainly found in Ghana and Nigeria. We have the Iwe. So you can see, this is about a subdivision of Bantu. But under the Kwa, we have such tribes found in West Africa. Then we have the Edo. Now, on the side of the Mande, those tribes that fall under the subdivision of the Bantu called the Mande, we have got the Sonik. This is the Sunike tribe, which is mainly found in Ghana. We have the Malin, the Sunike, we have the Malinke, like that, and then we have the Susu. Now someone is going to laugh, which is what do you mean by Susu? This is the name of a tribe mainly found in the West African countries. So, West Africa. Now, one is going to ask, what about North Africa? We don't have Bantu tribes in North Africa. Why? Remember, the Bantu were cultivators. They were looking at areas that received reliable rainfall, where they could carry out farming. Now, North Africa is completely a desert, so they could not migrate that area. So they mainly migrated in 3 regions: East, Central, Southern, and maybe the Western part. So we don't have Bantu tribes in the north of Africa because of their desert conditions. They could not settle in the desert condition, and yet for them, they were mainly crop growers or cultivators. So that's about it. Now let's look at the reasons. Why did this Bantu migrate? What are the reasons for the migration of the Bantu? Reasons for the migration of the Bantu. So reasons for the migration. Of the Bantu. Now, one of the most important reasons that, remember, the Bantu are cultivators. Having stayed in Central Africa around Cameroon Highland for so many years, they had to migrate to other areas because the population had increased, so there was shortage of land. So they had to migrate to other areas where they could get fertile soils for crop growing. So one of the reasons you can give that this Bantu migrated in search of fertile land, in search of areas with fertile land. So one of the reasons the Bantu were searching or were looking for areas with fertile soils. Now, here you cannot bring the reason of looking for pasture and water for their cattle, because they were not they were not cattle keepers. So it is the same way we cannot give this reason when we are talking of the Nilotes, because the Nilotes were basically cattle keepers. For them, they were not looking for fertile soil, whereas the Bantu, who were cultivators, were looking for areas with fertile soils. So that's one of the reasons. Then 2, we are saying the Bantu were looking, you can say looking or searching for areas with reliable rainfall. Areas with reliable rainfall. Because they were cultivators. That's why when they came to East Africa, they settled in areas around the lake region. These are the areas that receive reliable rainfall. These are areas that have fertile soils for crop growing. Then you would also see that there was increased population. That means there was shortage of land. They were looking for more. So you can say increased population in their cradle land forced them to migrate. Increased population in their cradle land forced the Bantu to migrate. So increased population. So there was shortage of land because the population increased and this created shortage of land for them. So they had to move. Then there was also a problem of attacks from their neighbors. So we call it internal and external attacks. So internal and external attacks. Now internal, that means there were quarrels, there were fights among themselves. Then external, that means their neighbors attacked them. So that forced them, that could have forced them to migrate to other areas of the world. Then maybe also you can talk of outbreak of famine and diseases. Outbreak of famine. Famine is having no food in an area for a long period of time. Famine can be caused by either natural disasters like floods. It can be caused maybe by diseases, if there is disease, or for instance drought. Now, let's look at the positive effects of the Bantu when they migrated into East Africa. What were the positive things? Positive effects of the Bantu migration. Positive effects of the Bantu migration. One of them, the Bantu brought the idea of crop growing. Introduced the idea of crop growing. The Bantu introduced the idea of crop growing. Remember, the Bushmen who originally in East Africa were basically hunters, people who live by hunting. So when the Bantu came to East Africa, in fact in all the areas the Bantu migrated, they introduced the idea of crop growing. The Bantu introduced new languages to areas they settled. Introduced new languages to areas they settled. So new languages were introduced in those areas they settled, which was positive. Then the Bantu also introduced the idea of forming kingdoms. Introduced the idea of forming kingdoms and chiefdoms. Kingdoms and chiefdoms. So we have got the Bantu who formed kingdoms like the Baganda. We have the Bantu that formed chiefdoms. Now the Bantu tribes that were small in number, those were few, preferred forming chiefdoms. But the Bantu tribes that were big in number formed kingdoms. For instance, they ask you, why did the Bachiga form kingdoms? They were few in number. Okay? So such ideas were introduced. Now let's look at lastly the negatives. What were the negative effects? So we are looking at the negative effects of the Bantu migration. For instance, in East Africa, we say the Bantu displaced the Bushmen who were already here. The Bantu displaced the Bushmen. So the Bushmen had to migrate far southern part, and we said many of them today are settled in the Kalahari Desert. The Bantu caused wars. With the people they came across. The tribes, areas where they migrated, there were already people there, and they caused war with those people. And then the other one, we see the Bantu increased the number of people in areas they settled. Increased. Or the population increased. Increased the population of people in areas they settled. So that's about the Bantu. And in the next lesson, we shall mainly look at another ethnic group. We may go and look at the Nilos, for instance. So this marks the end of our lesson. But remember, we say we have also the live Zoom lessons which are going on. Basically, that one I'm covering the revision part. But here what you are going to get in the website is basically we are following term 2 topics. Bye for now.